Hi there. How are you? Okay, it's May 14th after midnight, so technically it's May 15th. This is the RSOE EDIS link. Um, I am on this one little problem that they're talking about, climate change in the USA. For a glimpse of future higher seas, Rhode Islanders have to look no further than Wickford Village during the king tide. Last weekend, in the midst of such an extreme high tide, the seawater in Wickford Cove steadily rose to street level before cresting on Friday night and spilling into the Brown Street parking lot. And it goes on to talk about the, that and how that happened. The entire East Coast, this pops up when I'm looking at that. The entire East Coast has already seen or is facing drastic increases in the number of localized floods every year, according to the studies by the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. Places like Maryland, New Jersey, and Washington, D.C., where the seas are not only rising but coastal land is also sinking, have fared the worst, with up to ninefold increase in flood events since the 1950s. Okay, so the link is the first link, and you can read this for yourself. But I came across this book is The Atlantic Coast Sinking, and this was written in 1917. Now this has got the citing is these pages 135 through 139, and the link will be below. But let's move down. This is an article by Douglas Johnson, and he's writing more than half a century ago. George H. Cook, then state geologist of New Jersey, presented striking and apparently convincing evidence that the Atlantic coast of North America was gradually subsiding at a rate of 2 feet per century. Farmlands under cultivation 50 years before were, at the time of his investigation, covered with salt marsh grasses. Old corduroy roads were encountered several feet below surfaces of salt marshes at many points along the shore, and within the memory of men then living, the ocean waters had risen so high upon the wheels of the tidal mills that their operations had become difficult or impossible. The scientific manner in which Professor Cook presented his arguments gained for him not only the respect of geologists in all parts of the world, but a very general acceptance of his interesting conclusions. Independent investigation of the shores of England, southern Scandinavia, the Netherlands, and France convinced many geologists in those countries that the Atlantic coast of Europe was suffering a subsidence similar to that of the North American coast. On both sides of the North Atlantic, therefore, there has long existed a conviction that the land is slowly but surely sinking beneath the ocean waves. In America, in particular, it has been accepted as a well-established fact that the subsidence of from 1 to 2 feet per century is still in progress. And I encourage you, if you're interested, to read this article. Once again, I'll move up here to this is what it is. Link is below. And this third little part is from the Science Nordic. The Earth has lost a quarter of its water, and this is written in 2012. And here they're talking about how in early Earth's history, the Earth's ocean contained significantly more water than they do today. A new study indicates that hydrogen from split water molecules has escaped into space. And this is by Sybil Hildebrandt. Although water covers 70% of the Earth's surface, water is actually a rare substance that represents just 0.05% of the Earth's total mass. Actually, I don't think that many of us think of it that way because there's so much of it on the surface. Water has nevertheless played a crucial role in the emergence of life on Earth. Without water, the Earth would, in all likelihood, be a dead planet, or at least the way we know it. So then they go on to talk about how they have discovered this. And there's this special rock called serpentine that plays a part in it. Um, in Greenland, which is where some of the oldest rock on the planet that scientists know about is found, they've gone there and studied some of what happens, and then here it goes into how the hydrogen floats off into space as a reaction with the serpentine. And then here is a picture of the serpentine, but that actually is not very pretty. Let me show you a picture that looks. See, this is much prettier here. And this is Jim Crowley examining cross-cutting felsic dikes in central Genesis exposed in the horseshoe-shaped region between the north of the Ishiwa Greenstone Belt, and that's in Greenland. And this shows you where it's at on a map. Let's go out from there a little bit. I love the way that looks. It looks like bone to me. Right there. That's cool. Let's go back in. Right in there. Oh. Can you show it better like that? No. You have to be far away. Okay, but you can see the picture here anyway. Alright. And then at the lower part of this article, they're talking about hydrogen and deuteron. Okay, here's the word. Hydrogen and this word are still escaping into space, but very slowly. And this is kind of an interesting thing. The young sun paradox. The analyses also showed how much methane existed in the atmosphere of the infant Earth. The methanogenesis process creates hydrogen from methane. And since the researchers know how much hydrogen was lost to space, they were able to estimate how much methane the atmosphere must have contained in the past. Blah, 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 blah. No, wait. Because they're talking here about how they don't understand. They believe the temperature of the Earth was about the same as it is now. But the sun was dimmer, so then they're trying to figure it out. And then they also come to this this conclusion. The Earth's climate has so far been a stable system. Current climate change, from which the human race bears much of the responsibility, is dramatic compared to the small variations that have taken place over time, says Rosing. When we increase the amounts of greenhouse gases in this way, an imbalance results which perhaps can never be reestablished. A balance that has been the reason why life was able to come into being and to flourish. And I think that's very important. And then this little article that I'm not sure is true or not, but this is from The Truth Denied. And the article is, "The sea is not rising, it's your land that is sinking." And this is from January 30th, 2013 by Suchano. Says that scientists warn about rising sea levels. And here's a few examples that they cite. Now here's where it gets really strange. Scientists are trying to influence Congress and accept that we all need to significantly reduce greenhouse gas emissions, as if people haven't been forced to cut back right now with all the recent laws. Fact is, after an entire decade, there's absolutely no proof that reducing greenhouse gas emissions is going to solve this. This sounds a little bit more like an opinion rather than scientific fact, which scientific fact isn't always correct either. So, So, it's up to you what you think about this. But here they're talking about groundwater resources for the future. And this actually does get into some detail that makes it a little bit interesting. Land subsidence is a gradual settling or sudden sinking of the Earth's surface owing to the subsurface movement of Earth materials. Subsidence is a global problem, and in the United States, more than 17,000 square miles in 45 states, an area roughly the size of New Hampshire and Vermont combined, have been directly affected by subsidence. The principal causes are aquifer systems, compaction, drainage of organic soils, underground mining, hydrocompaction, natural compaction, sinkholes, and thawing permafrost. And this is from the National Research Council in 1991. Three distinct processes account for most of the water-related subsidence: compaction of aquifilter systems, drainage and subsequent oxidation of organic soils, and the dissolution and collapse of susceptible rocks. I am sorry. This seems to be happening all over the world, but here is a picture from space of groundwater depletion. Okay, and I don't know what the different colors mean. And then here's a whole article talking about it. And then this picture of people standing by a well, which I'm not sure if it's a real picture or a painting. Let's see if it says. So then they're talking about this place where the salt factories were overusing the groundwater. And then this person goes on to say the real cause of rising sea levels and tsunamis is not global warming nor climate change. It is happening because the land is sinking. So if you're interested in any of this, the article will be here, and please read it. And I am grateful for you, and I'm here at your service. What does this say? We match all cash back? Discover. Okay, I don't like credit card companies, even though they have come in handy. Let's go back up to the top a minute and actually give credit to this place, The Truth Denied. It obviously isn't denied, though, because we just read about it. All right, I'm grateful for you, and I hope you have a fabulous time doing whatever you're doing. So, I also want to end with that rising water isn't the problem as much as humans haven't learned how to share. And so, when we have property on a place, if it gets destroyed and we don't know how to share or help each other without somebody owing somebody, it doesn't work very well. And it doesn't work very well with greed, but we could be having a wonderful time. Just my point of view. All right, one more time. I am grateful for you, and I am here at your service. Bye-bye.